Now, in more thrilling news. News.
Let's talk law.
Let's talk a little law.
Talk a little law.
So, if you haven't seen this, basically this is MVP Discs
versus the United States.
Essential Discs. MVP Disc Sports, I should say, versus Essential. There's not actually any lawsuit or anything like that going on yet, but it could lead to one, and that's why we're here to talk about it early.
Ooh.
So
we should ask if we can serve, like if we can be the people that show up and
this
serve
is them. This is the backstory, right? The MVP got their prototype for the new Simon Line Balance approved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When that got approved,
looks sick.
This other company that's been around for a while, apparently, kind of came out the woodworks. No offense, but I had never heard of them. Essential Discs, and they apparently already have a disc called the Balance that they got approved earlier this year.
Okay. Like May.
So it was kind of posted out on like the MVP fan pages and stuff like that, and people were like, did MVP not realize? How did the PDGA approve both names? Blah, blah, blah. Like two discs with the name Balance, like that doesn't happen. Like typically one has priority over the other, so on and so forth. Well, shortly thereafter, MVP posts a statement on the Balance, and this is when things start getting interesting. So the reason the Balance is approved as a prototype is it doesn't fly the way it's intended. They wanted it to be slightly more overstable. So they got the prototype approved so they could release a small amount here, and the purchasers will have it while they work out the kinks. But they also got the prototype approved for, I think, legal reasons, as they kind of explained later. But right now it flies closer, this is just disc information, right now it flies closer to a runway or a pyro. They're going for something a little bit less stable. So first off, this sounds like the perfect MVP disc. I'm very excited to try this thing.
Okay. I am as well.
But
gyro not.
MVP states that believe they have achieved the trademark priority application date for the word balance and use of disc golf, and they published this thing so that people can now look at when they like put it up. So
they showed their work.
So they applied for the word balance as a trademark in relation to disc golf December 14th of 2023.
Discs for playing disc golf.
So they basically, when they signed Simon, it was announced in January of 2024, but when they signed Simon, they went through and like, hey, we're going to give you a Simon line. Let's go ahead and trademark all these names that we think we want to use for it. Yeah. So time lapse, pixel, balance, they went ahead and got the trademark for it way back in December.
So wait, are we about to do a little bit of sleuthing? Can we search other trademarks?
No, because this one, you have to publish it. So since it's applied, they published, the application publish date was August 27th. Okay. So the trademark is hidden unless you choose to publish it.
I was about to say.
They published it, and it's basically said the reason for publishing is because of competition. So that's the reason they published it. So they didn't publish it till August.
Fair enough.
But regardless, so MVP registered for it in December, and then I believe it's in May or June, Essential Disc comes out with the Balance. MVP statement says, we reached out to the company to let them know the situation. We assumed it was a misunderstanding on their part and that we'd be able to find amicable solution after a quick conversation. However, even after explaining the situation to them, the company was unwilling to budge as they felt their situation gave them priority to the name. As you might expect, we were unable to find agreement over the next months, which brings us to here. We have the utmost confidence in our registered trademark rights and fully expect our pending trademark to be registered. It's an unfortunate situation that we tried our best to avoid, but we need to actively protect even our pending intellectual property, especially for something as important as the Simon line. Releasing this to the market is our next step in the process. As such, expect more news about the Simon Line Balance prototype in the near future. So that's what I'm saying is the approval process in this release seems to be a legal play of like, well, we need to establish. Yeah. Because I think I could be misspeaking here. I think from reading on Facebook and stuff that it seems that a part of the trademark and like litigation or legal process of that is when the common disc golfers hear the word balance, what do they think of? Yeah. And so I think that's why if MVP releases it, they know the majority of people are going to think of MVP, not Essential Discs, which will farther aid them in their case.
Yeah, I say the key thing here is on this decision, how much does, like in my mind, I think this will go like well for them as well, is if you beat the Essential Disc to the punch in your application for that, like so far ahead in advance, I don't really see a universe in which they don't get that trademark. And then once they're approved that, it's scorched earth, because once you get a trademark or a copyright, you can defend that thing it'll be an incredibly easy defense.
Yes,
because it's literally another disc. Like, so that'll just be the key, is like I'm not I know how effective copyrights and trademarks are and how you can defend them, but I'm not super knowledgeable on like the process of getting them granted and how much it changes when something was thrown in the midst. I can't imagine it can hold up though.
Maybe part of the annoying things is you just like you don't have any power over it until it is officially approved.
Maybe I don't know.
Well, I don't think
This
they can. I
limbo
don't think they
process.
can enforce anything. I mean, they can go to Essential Disc and be like, "Hey guys," but like, I think they'll probably end up getting it, and in which case, because like it's an expensive process as well.
Yeah.
But can you
very
get
expensive.
the trademark if it's already in use? You can still get a trademark for it.
Well, yeah, and like we were saying, the other disc was named after they had submitted for their trademark application.
Yeah.
Well after. So I think that that's not. I don't think that'll hold up for Essential Discs. I don't think they can make any. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's like, hey, it's free game until like something goes along. But like even, I don't know what it means to the trademark. People who are like looking at it being like, okay, Essential Disc is a company that barely has any market share in disc golf at all. Most people don't know about it, whereas MVP is a powerhouse.
Yeah. So I just Googled, and so while the trademark application's pending, you have limited rights and can't enforce the intellectual property. However, you can use the pending trademark to deter others away from using it, so which is what they're trying to do. The trademark registration process typically takes 8 to 10 months, so we're in month 11 right now. Once your trademark's registered, though, you can retroactively enforce it.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
So like if they get it approved in December, even though they applied a year ago, they've owned the trademark for the full year.
Okay, so yeah, in that case, Essential Disc is cooked if they get it. Yeah.
This is interesting. So actually, let me read this first because Essential Disc put this
I hadn't
out.
seen this.
Oh, good. This is what I wanted to know.
This is funny to me. It starts off with, it's an unfortunate situation about the balance being approved by a second company for PDJ. We've been advised by our lawyers not to make a public statement at this time, despite the misinformation that's coursing around the internet. So here's their public statement. Here's what we can share.
Who is your lawyer?
From our inception in 2010, which how have they been around 14 years and we haven't heard of them? Have y'all heard of Essential Disc before
I have not
this?
heard of Essential Disc.
Maybe like in whisper.
Maybe during a game whenever you're like, is this a real company?
I
need to get eyeballs. Like, keep reading.
Here's what we can share. From our inception in 2010, we have been a supporter of the other company to the extent of still having their original patent pending ions from our first order that our son throws. We have run events and designed courses under their name and direction. They have never made our products and at this point never will. They chose to decline any negotiations and made demands instead. If they reached out today, we would still pick up the phone and talk. However, now is in the hands of our lawyers and theirs. Their trademark for balance is not registered at this point. However, you want to see a sweet father and daughter ace on the same hole with the balance, you can visit, and then it goes on tags, blah, blah, blah. So that's pretty much it. Actually, there is at the bottom, this is more about Essential Disc. I didn't read past this. As a woman-owned small business, sorry, I kept saying she, as a woman-owned small business, we do this for the love of the game and not for love of the profit. We run free leagues for our kids over the summer, work with clubs. So this is basically saying we're unable to answer public interviews until our lawyers decide the best interest. So this is basically saying like this is what we do.
Well, here's the thing. If you're Essential Disc, you are playing this 100% correctly as long as it doesn't get you burnt, because
you're getting advertising.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No one had heard of it.
You need to drag.
I can't say no one. A very small portion of disc golf had heard of them prior to this. But now, a lot of people, especially people in the MVP sphere, know Essential Disc
You
is.
can't possibly care that much about the name of the disc. But what you're going to get now is if you can drag this on as long as possible, and then let's say you've made it a few months of press, and then at the very end you kind of just like. You just kind of bail out and rename it.
The only tough part is I don't know who's making their discs, right? If they're getting them pre-made and pre-stamped, they could be sitting on a like ludicrous amount of disc stamped balance if they're not stamping in-house, which is pretty common for smaller companies. If you're not stamping in-house and it's coming shipped to you with the word balance stamped on it, that's a very expensive correction unless you just take some acetone and have a weekend and just
and that raises another question. Okay, so let's say, I mean, we have to assume that Essential Disc did not know they did not know about this. They couldn't.
Well, it seems that after they got it approved,
it looked like
is when MVP reached out.
Well, MVP's original statement, it said it was approved in May and then they caught it in June. So there's a month in between.
Is that what they said?
That's what they said in the original like things they put on their website.
Okay.
Now, we don't know if that was like late May to early June or whatever, but it could have been as much as a month. And what that means is there is a world in which Essential Discs like gets this thing approved, has already stamped 1,000 of them, like you said, and now they're defending because they're like, this is a
there's
huge
a world
asset.
where they might have stamped a lot more than 1,000.
Well, and
I've heard some like initial
and in
order
my
of
opinion,
companies be like 20 to 30,000 discs.
and
Oh
in
my
my
gosh.
opinion, that sets a precedent that either man, that's really just unfortunate for them, or now every company needs to be getting copyright on their disc name, because what if the same thing happens to you?
So what if?
Well, every company should be, first off, something
Well,
that important.
Not every company can pay. I mean, think about having to pay $10,000 potentially per mold you release. Like it's a
Welcome to the world.
So is
well,
that?
That's
I'm
what
just
the other
saying.
thing-
Well, let me just say for 50 years nobody's done it.
Yes.
So like it's not like somebody
That's
should have
what
been expected to do it.
MVP is being very smart here, because the other thing that they could probably retroactively do is, okay, we'll be the good guy and we'll just negotiate a royalty play. You can't stamp farther discs with balance, and all the ones that currently exist, you owe us $2 off of everyone that sells, because we own the rights to the balance.
Yeah.
You have to give us that money.
That could be a move.
That's the type, like, copyrights and trademarks can make people a lot of money
Yeah.
from that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Where
So
it's
is
like,
that
I
now,
own
like-
the name balance, so you retroactively have sold 2,000 of these. You owe us $4,000 from that, and then everyone you sell until you're out of your inventory, you owe us X, Y, and Z. Like, because the other thing is, if it gets defended, if they get it approved and it gets defended, they could just say, you can't sell those.
Yeah.
Period.
Because like the best case scenario now is if they haven't stamped the disc, you drag it out as long as you can, hopefully get away scot-free, change the name, and then everybody who doesn't like MVP maybe thinks about checking out your disc just to be like, haha.
Yeah.
And you name it like the Unbalanced.
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now. Well, I do like MVP, but also I would definitely bag an Essential Disc Balance right now. Like that's
Yeah,
electric.
it's electric.
It
That's
would be
the
electric.
original balance. This is the real balance.
New Balance versus Old Balance.
That's funny.
New
But
Balance.
so the way the copyright works or the trademark works, so are you not allowed to put the word balance on a disc at all?
No,
or
they
just
can't.
not allowed to name it the balance?
Well, their copyright. So whenever discgolf.law did a video on trademarks, like in disc golf a while back, and basically the way that he was explaining it was like it depends on what you're applying for, I think. But like what they had applied for, and you can go back to the link, Hunter, but I think it was for discs in disc golf, right? Is that what it said?
I think it's in relation to
It
disc
says
golf.
Discs for playing disc golf.
Yes.
So I would think it would just apply to the name of the mold,
Because
probably
then
not
they
anything
could
with a stamp.
then they could just like sell them as these are balance stamped
Yeah, but
tide pools, whatever.
Whenever
you know.
once you get, but the problem is what happens is I think when you get a trademark like that, if somebody were to stamp another disc balance, you could potentially defend and be like, this is confusing, and kind of utilizing our name to maybe trick a consumer, and you could. I think you have quite a bit of power once you get that trademark, and so that's where
MVP is passionate about things being confusing.
Well, there's a kind of a wild yeah, there's kind of a Wild West out there potentially. Like I remember there was something with
The Raptor. And the Raptor claw, like drying a disc.
right. Like if Discraft were to own like the Raptor name, and then like is now Dynamic able to stamp anything Raptor claw, like potentially
Well,
not.
also when you have like Ricky Raptor, like can you use Raptor
Right,
regards
like
to Ricky
it
at
can
all?
get a lot trickier. Like you would,
I'm gonna trademark Paul Macbeth.
the
know, one
world of
thing that's
disc golf, you get a
interesting-
lot. It'd be a lot harder to name discs.
I don't know how to read this, but I don't see the word pending on here anymore, and I felt like I did the first time I looked at it. All I see under this is class static active. I swore I saw pending when I looked at this the first time.
Sure. Well, it wouldn't
Maybe
say
it-
it wouldn't say active if it was pending, right? Because it wouldn't
Right
be
here.
active.
Maybe that's just a class stat. I wonder if it got approved. Reason for publication, published for opposition. That was there first before, yeah.
I feel like there would be an approval date with the case identifiers.
I feel like you'd be right.
You have application, public, like I think
Filing
there would be an
date.
approval date.
I felt like I saw pending the first time.
There
but,
have to be a date of approval.
Surely.
See if you can maybe you can find a different trademark that has been approved.
yeah, I think MVP publishes there. But anyways, MVP does this with like everything they do.
Yeah.
They get it trademarked.
No, that's good business practice. You
yeah,
definitely
because-
protect, especially with the Simon thing. Like they're trying to
now-
protect a big asset.
Because if they don't do this, Essential Discs already is getting free press. I mean, we're talking about him right now. But even farther, like Simon Lizotte is the biggest face of disc golf in a lot of aspects, especially on YouTube. And he's going to be promoting the word balance. And when you search disc, let me actually just search disc golf balance or balance.
If you look
disc.
up Essential Disc balance, then the only first thing that pops up,
yeah, you're gonna have to go balance.
they're
disc
like
golf.
exercise things.
You're gonna get,
Yeah, if I go balance disc golf, let's just go balance disc golf disc.
there you go.
And just see, because like if I search that,
Well, I saw an article.
balance mid-range by Essential Disc comes up. MVP statement on the balance is there. But like regardless, you can find the balance disc
Yeah.
pretty
I don't even-
easily.
On their first run, they don't even have the word balance on there.
No, I think it just says first run, yeah.
Well, then that's pretty easy for them.
Well, yeah, I just don't know how many. If
Unless
they're
it has
stamping it,
tooling
if
on
they're
it.
stamping it themselves, they're not in a.
It could have tooling.
They're not in a. Yeah, it could have tooling. That's a good point.
That would be a nightmare. That would be a big nightmare.
Slightly overstable
Okay.
mid-range.
Trademark.
That's what they're-
550-1.5.
Wait, is that what Essential has it as?
This is what a
Okay, here you
company
go.
that will not be named has it as.
So registered trademarks
But
of
that's
MVP.
the Essential Disc
That's
one.
the essential. This is the Essential Disc is a
Okay,
550
so that's even
1.5.
funnier. It's like the same disc.
Oh, this is interesting. We can see what upcoming Simon Line discs are because they have their pending trademarks published on their site. So registered trademarks of MVP: Axiom, Axiom Disc, Black Hole, Fission, Gyro, Gyro X, Hive Disc Golf, MVP Disc Golf, Rover, Streamline, Streamline Discs.
So most of their names are not. It's
Trademarks pending registration.
just for the Simon Line stuff.
Balance,
mostly.
but the Pixel's not even on here anywhere. Maybe it got declined because maybe it's too broad. Yeah, I know.
I gotta see more pictures of
Trademarks
Balance.
pending registration. Balance Boca. That's good.
the heck
I
is
like
the
that.
Boca?
That's a good
It's like
name.
if this is in focus and then you had lights in the background.
I
if you have a
have
shallow
heard.
depth of field, the lights will bokeh like they get
Yeah.
like circles and blurry.
I've heard
Boca
that
is
name.
just like a blurry background.
Disc Station, Galaxy, Glow the Sport. That's fun. Gravity, Lens Cap. There's two more. Mirror, Orbital, Shutter. Another one. The Leading Edge, Voyager. So that's all their ones pending
I
registration.
forgot they're doing all camera theme.
Yeah.
For Simon because
Shutter's kind of fun.
Because I was like, okay, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the lens cap is about the stupidest disc name
unless
I've
it's
ever.
unless
heard.
it's a
Lens
glitch.
cap?
Imagine a glitch. It's called the
No,
lens cap.
it's so
I get
dumb.
behind that.
That's so stupid.
I get behind
Balance,
that.
The
balance
lens is-
isn't really a
the lens
camera
is
name.
fine.
Except for
Composition.
white balance.
They were arguing. They were saying like because of composition and balance, and when you're like balancing the frame. blah, blah,
lens
blah.
That's
is
a little
fine,
bit of
but
a stretch.
lens cap, that's a bit on the nose. That's pretty bad.
I'll throw the shutter for sure.
Yeah, Shutter. That's a good name.
That's what I'm saying. You got to stay far enough away that like it doesn't
But
just
they
have to
might
be
have
a
just
camera word.
They might have just been like, these are all of ideas. Let's just file them all.
Essential Disc.
It's really expensive, just file
Essential
them all.
Discs. Essential Disc. Right now, I'm telling you that if you decide to rename the balance, you should call it the Shutter, but SHUDDER.
I don't know. I don't know if they want to get into that.
Call it the large lens cap.
I don't even want to get into that either. But anyways,
get into
so
that.
that's the details. We'll keep you informed as it goes on. If any more information comes out,
Can't wait for the planar track to come out.
we'll try to keep track of the Essential Disc and see, do they rename the balance or what happens? Who knows?
I'm
But
gonna-
it's exciting.
I'm glad
going
we
to-
got a good legal saga to kick off the offseason.
I am
That's
going to
good.
say that based off of the pictures, I don't mean this in an unkind way. Based
about
off
to
of
say
the
something
pictures
mean.
on their website, they definitely stamped them in house.
Okay.
It looks
Well,
because
they might design them in house though.
Well, I'm just saying that a lot of these, there's like fallout on the stamps
funny to
for
me-
their posted picture. It looks like whenever we tried to hot stamp this.
When I saw that was a shot at Silas, uncalled for.
That was all shot on everybody.
When I saw their discs originally, I was like, oh, is MVP making them? Like I saw one picture of a.
That'd be crazy.
But then they said the MVP's never made them, so I don't know.
the plastic looks really nice.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to get a little order of Essential Discs in.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I don't want to take any stance against MVP.
We're not taking a stance against them. We're just seeing what the balance is like.
Dude, they got an overstable approach disc called the Honey.
They scare me. Oh, they're cooked.
They're
Wait,
cooked.
is that what blocked out Clash? Because Clash had to change to the
Oh,
Wild
I bet it
Honey.
did, 'cause
Maybe.
Clash
Is
had
that
honey.
Essential Disc entire plan? What else do they have?
Okay,
The Kong?
I'll read them all. Oh, the Kong. That's funny. The Solara,
Nobody wanted that.
Rain,
A lot of people might want that.
Yeah, that seems
Oxygen,
Interesting.
Reflection,
that's probably pretty popular.
Purpose, Balance,
Purpose.
Harmony, the Honey,
Where does honey?
Peace.
Where does honey and rain fit into this?
Peace?
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's all like
The rest of them make sense. They all are kind of going with that
Purpose, balance, harmony, peace.
Oh, and honey?
That's a defensive
reflection.
play.
Honey and rain?
Oxygen is kind of.
Oh yeah, I'm throwing my my oxygen here. No, guys.
On hole 2?
Is it going to get really hard to start coming up with disc names?
Hole 2,
Yeah.
oxygen, H2O?
We might just have
Dang.
to. We might have to just start playing a game where we have to like.
Hang on.
We have to like pick a
Hole
disc
2,
name
oxygen.
that hasn't been used and like search it up and see because like it's gonna.
Is that Trevor's trivia for today?
No, within like the you'd have to be like within the
I want a
realm
balance.
of.
I want somebody to send me a balance. I'll bag it.